Oh hey, how's it going? Look what I finally did. I organized my shop. In today's video, this is what I'm going to be building. This entire thing was built from scrap wood except this one sheet of plywood in the back. So all of this was laying around the shop and I put it to good use. Finally got all the tools off of the bench here, off the floor. Also, as always, there's free plans to this entire build and all the little hangers and organizers on the wall in the description below, so go check that out. So enough of me talking, let's go ahead and start building this thing. So the flow and friction concept is something that I heard about a few years back, and I've really tried to apply it in most areas of my life. Basically, if you're trying to accomplish a certain goal, you want to add as much flow into that process as possible, right? Common sense. If there's only a little bit of friction while you're trying to accomplish any particular goal, you'll accomplish that goal faster. So using my shop setup as an example, if I go out and try to build something and there's sawdust everywhere, I'm tripping over power cords, I can't find any of my tools, it's frustrating. This is going to cause a lot of friction. I'm not going to be as creative. It can be downright dangerous and just not enjoyable. Isn't that why we build things? At the end of the day, we want to enjoy it. If you guys have followed me for any amount of time, you have seen the backdrop and the shop setup in my YouTube videos, and it has been a little rough to say the least. After the last video, I had had enough. It was time to set up something and make the shop better. I needed more flow and less friction. So hopefully you guys will get some ideas from this and you guys can go add some flow to your shop and you can enjoy woodworking more, be safer, and all those good things. So if you guys want to download the free plans that I have for all of the little things that I'm building for this tool wall and the tool wall itself, you can check out the link in the description below. You guys can get some ideas from it, customize it, do whatever you want to it, make it fit your needs, or you can copy it to a T and add it to your shop. I bought one $75 piece of plywood for this entire build, and the rest of the wood used here was all scrap. Wow. It was meant to be. So needless to say, I was very strategic about what wood went where so I could maximize getting rid of as much scrap as possible, but also not cutting in and wasting large boards that I still could use for future projects. This space that I'm working out of right now is temporary, so I didn't want anything to be too permanent. So I didn't use any wood glue. I only used leftover deck screws that I had from other projects, a few brad nails, and just a couple safety screws in the back drilled into the wall to make sure that it didn't fall forward on anybody while they were in the shop. But other than that, this entire tool wall is completely freestanding on those bases that I made. Again, the free plans, you can look at all the dimensions if you want to make some for yourself. Building it this way is going to allow me, when the time comes, to take it down and reassemble it if I want to. But again, I did build this very cheaply, so if I don't want to build it exactly the same way, I'm sure I'm going to have some critiques to the next version of my tool wall. I won't be wasting too much money, considering that, again, I only bought that one piece of plywood for the back wall, and the rest of it is all scrap wood that either would have been used in future projects or, you know, would have been thrown away eventually. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is you don't need a lot of money or even any money if you have all the scrap wood you need just laying around in your shop already to build something like this. If you've been woodworking any amount of time, I'm sure you have some pile of wood that you can use to build even a small little tool wall, some sort of place to organize some tools that you use on a daily basis to add a little bit, if not a lot bit, of flow to your shop. And now that I mentioned tools you use on a daily basis, I want to talk about that for a little bit. So the idea behind my tool wall, the one I'm building right now, was to specifically hang up tools that I used very frequently. The ones that are almost used daily, or the ones that you need very quickly when you're in a pinch. So we're talking marking tools, tape measures, hammers, maybe a flush cut saw, bits of any kind, chisels, hand planes, drills, drill bits, of course. These are a few things that I didn't want just in a drawer somewhere, even if I knew exactly where they were. I wanted them to be plainly in sight so I knew exactly where they were. And also, it does take time to open and close a drawer. And if you're in the shop a lot, those seconds really do add up into minutes and minutes into hours, and you know how it goes. So having these tools up on some sort of organized wall that I can grab at a moment's notice is going to drastically improve my build times. And I know that our number one goal isn't to build quickly. Speed isn't the key here. We want our builds to be of quality, but I think there can be a little bit of both. I would like to build quality work while also being very efficient. And also, I got kids, right? I have 3 kids and a wife. I have a family. I have other things to do besides being in the shop. 12 hours every day. So I do want to maximize the time I spend out here. Now, all in all, it took me about 1 week to complete this entire project. I did take a break several times to make other things. I had a couple other videos to put out and some builds. There was also a holiday in the middle of this, so we had family in town. There was a party, so I knew I wasn't going to knock this whole project out in a day or two. However, I did commit to building at least 1 or even 2 tool hangers to put on the wall every day. Now, taking this approach really helped me complete this entire project because I had been putting it off for so long. I always prioritized other things first when really I had it backwards. If I had prioritized this first, 1, I think my YouTube videos would have had a much better looking background, and 2, it would have greatly, and I mean greatly, sped up the workflow, and I would have accomplished tasks so much faster. It's really hard to tell someone who's used to working out of a messy shop that they need to pause all of their building, even not all at once, but even just for a little bit at a time, and start to clean and organize their shop. Sometimes we get locked into a way of work we don't even know that we're missing something, and we're missing something big. So hopefully after watching this video, it encourages you to even go out into your shop and organize just one little corner. Bring a little bit more flow, a little less friction, and please comment on this video or reach out to me over Instagram or somewhere else and let me know if it added a little flow to your shop or if it added some friction. Either one, I'd love to hear about it. As I think a lot of other people did, I started off with pegboard for my shop organization. I didn't really see there being any other option other than buying really expensive tool organizers that you can buy, from hardware stores. And that's just money I didn't want to spend. So I bought some cheap pegboard and some hooks off of Amazon, and we called it good. But it never really worked. I just put up with the tools constantly falling off, me shutting a drawer too hard and all the wrenches falling down. Anyways, I wanted to do something different here, and really, I enjoyed this entire process a lot more. It was so much more creative, and I really enjoyed just using my imagination and also finding inspiration, online and other YouTube videos from other awesome woodworkers out there, and coming up with all of my own custom holders for all of my tools. It's actually very enjoyable. And like I said earlier, I'm sure I'll be adjusting and moving things around. That's actually why I stopped using brad nails to attach all of these things to the back wall, because I ended up having to move a few things around while I was building this to make room for other holders. So instead, just using 1 5/8 inch screws and this 3/4 inch plywood and pre-drilling before securing everything together, this is going to make it easier for me down the road to move things around, add tools to the wall, take them off, you name it. While I was on a phone call with my parents the other day, I sent them a picture of this tool wall. I was telling them all about, garden woodworking, my dreams, my goals, where the business was, where the YouTube channel was, all the support I was getting. And also I was proud of my tool wall, so I sent them a picture. They were super impressed, and we got to talking about how important it was to just keep a clean and organized workspace. Or if your workspace isn't organized, how important it is to just even pause everything for a little bit, just get it back again to where it's flowing and there's a lot less friction. And as we were talking, the phrase came to me, organize your workspace today and invest in your happiness for tomorrow. And they said, have you been using that in your videos? I said, no, I haven't. And they said, well, we think you should definitely say that in the video about this tool wall. So there you go. From yours truly, organize your workspace today and invest in your happiness for tomorrow. Or something like that. Now, if you're seeing me use any tools in this video that you don't currently have, no worries. You do not need a bandsaw or a drill press or anything like that. You can even just use a hammer and chisel and some hand saws if you need. Miter saws and table saws obviously make things a lot easier, but you can get away with just a circular saw. We're not trying to win a beauty contest here. It just needs to organize your tools. So whatever works, as long as it does the job. I am a bit of a perfectionist myself, so I like everything to be very clean and level and as square as possible. If you are a beginner woodworker, building things like this for yourself is a great way to practice and learn new skills. Sometimes the best way to get good at something is just by pure repetition. And honestly, making mistakes, splitting wood, and making bad cuts. Not unsafe cuts, but bad cuts. And speaking of beginner woodworkers, if you're a woodworker like me, just trying to get better at your craft, build some cool stuff, and maybe even make a little money from it, you'll probably like the Guardians Guild. It's a community I put together for people who love working with their hands. We've got build plans, tips, tools, and honest lessons that I've learned the hard way. There's no fluff, no hype, just real help for real woodworkers. We're opening the doors again very soon to everyone who's on the waitlist. You can join the waitlist completely for free by going to guardianwoodworking.com/join. So feel free to check it out. If this sounds like something you'd like, I hope to see you there. Something else that I really wanted to have on this tool wall was all the tape. I'm always looking for my tape, and the organization underneath my tool bench currently isn't the best. I'm actually gonna put some crates underneath there very shortly to make sure that's all organized, but I want to get the tape out from underneath the bench so that it's not getting sawdust all over it. It's up somewhere where I can see it clearly and I can grab it. Speaking of tape, I forgot to mention earlier that I did use some other methods to attach these hangers to the tool wall, and that is CA glue or super glue with some activator and double-sided tape. You can get creative with this. You can use a mix of brad nails, some deck screws, CA glue, double-sided tape, whatever you have or want to use to attach these hangers to your wall. They'll all work, but for areas that's hard to get a screw or you don't want to split the plywood, using some CA glue with some activator is a great option. And once I got the tape hung up on the tool wall and it was looking nice, everything was organized, looking good, it was time to move on to hanging up my drills. I've been wanting to hang these up quite some time. They just seem to always be getting in the way. I do knock them off the table occasionally, and I want these things to last longer. So, like everything else, it needs a place in the shop. Also, I've always thought hanging drill organizers just look super cool. So I'm excited to make this. Again, free plans to this drill organizer is in the description below if you want to build your own. I did make this without using any glue because, like I said before, I want to be able to take it apart easily, and I'm sure I'll be adding some battery operated drills to my collection in the near future at some point. So I made this in a way to where I could take it apart and add more drill compartments in the future. I'm using my bandsaw here, but again, if you have just a regular, handsaw or a jigsaw, you can use that as well. I did add a chamfer to the inside of these before hanging it up. Plywood's a little sharp and jagged sometimes on the edges, and I didn't want these to be cutting into the drill handles every time I took them out and put them in, so a little chamfer solved that problem. I did go over most of the organizers that I hung up on this wall with 120 grit sandpaper, made them look a little bit smoother, a little nicer, and feel a lot nicer too. To hang this box, I did it the same way, hung everything, just taking a piece of scrap plywood about an inch and a half wide, mounting it to the wall, and then setting the organizer on top of it and screwing it to that. We got all the drills hanging up now. It's looking crispy. And see, this is exactly why I'm using screws instead of brad nails to hang all this stuff up, is because I had to move the hammer and mallet organizer over to get the drill box to fit in there. And because I used just some simple deck screws, it made this super easy. Also using some screws here to mount the battery chargers on the wall, keep the cords out of the way, make everything running smoothly. Now, your tool wall or organization in your shop is going to be completely dependent on how you like to work, the tools you have, and also just how you want things to look. So maybe you have way more screwdrivers than I do, and you're going to need a much bigger organizer than this. That's totally fine. Hopefully, all the diagrams and measurements and the plans will just give you, a good starting point, maybe give you some ideas. And you know what they say, ideas come from ideas. So take what I've made here, make your own, and hopefully yours turns out a lot better than mine did. Though I am pretty happy with how mine turned out, but I'm even happier with how smooth and functional this shop is now. I'm enjoying being out here so much more. Before you guys go, if this video was helpful in any way, it really helps me out and helps the channel out if you hit that like button down there, and also subscribe so you don't miss future free plans that I put out on this channel all the time. If you guys like this video, I bet you'll like this one right over there. I'll see you guys in the next video.